This isn't just any podcast. This is your secret weapon for dominating the market.
This is the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast, and this is your host, Sean McMean.
Hey, this is Sean McMean from Vinnie Mac, and if you're a roofing contractor that is running Google ads for your roofing business and you're using that to generate leads and phone calls, you might have noticed over the last several months and in 2024 that the cost per click, or the CPC, has risen, and it can be extremely frustrating, especially when you're trying to optimize that budget and not knowing why that cost per click is raising can be, kind of putting you in the dark, right? And so I really want to talk about the common factors of why this is in the roofing industry and what could be driving that increased cost in your area and things that you can do to address those items. Recently created a blog post that really dives deep into this topic, but today I want to talk about it and give you some highlights of that blog post. And really, let's first talk about what CPC is. The CPC is the cost per click. So when you are running Google ads, and I'm not talking about Google local service ads, I'm talking about Google ads or search ads. When somebody searches a specific keyword, basically you're bidding on those keywords, right? And so CPC, or cost per click, is what you're bidding for that keyword. And your bid can be the exact amount you're bidding, or it can be less. And sometimes there's a fluctuation of going a little bit higher, right? So, but that is what CPC is. And a combination of CPC gives you what is called your conversion rate. So how many clicks does it take to get a conversion or phone call or form submitted for an estimate on your website, right? And so some factors that drive the cost per click are the amount of competition in your area, your ad relevancy, something called quality score that's dictated by a number of factors that are related to your Google Ads campaign, and also your landing page experience. Okay, and so let's dive in deep into each one of those key factors here. And these are things that you can look at if you're running your Google ads, or if you're you're paying somebody to run those Google ads. These are really the elements that come into play that's going to dictate what it's costing you to get the clicks and also the conversions or the phone calls that you're needing for the roofing space. Now, let's talk about first the increased competition. If there are more competition in your area, clearly that's going to drive up the cost, right? And so there's nothing you can do to control that except just understand that it's going to cost you more in your area than what it might be to somebody that is running them in another area. So if you talk to another roofer and he's or she's telling you that they're getting this amount of leads and this is what it's costing to generate them, they're in a different area, different number of competition, and all of those things, right? So even if the same person is running those ads, there's going to be differences there, right? And so another important aspect on the competition is that competition will go up and down, right? So really what you want to do is have a long-term picture. And if you're going to run Google ads, you need to say, hey, I'm going to commit to 6 months of doing this, and I'm not going to start and stop. If I start and stop, it really throws everything out of whack, and you can't live on the highs and lows. You got to live on the consistency part of things, right? And so some things also with competition is that if there's a storm around the area, if there's hail damage, you're going to see increased competition, right? If there's drier season, you're going to see less competition because people are not willing to spend out there, right? And so that will drive and move those costs per click. So all things you need to be looking at. And if you look at it on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis, it's going to be hard not to panic or freak out if things are going up and down in there, right? And so look at it at the big picture sort of perspective, right? The other thing that can drive factors for cost per click is the seasonal aspect of things. So summer, winter, spring, that's just natural what's going to happen, right? Because if it's a more rainy season, you're going to have more roofing problems, right? And we all know that, right? And so that goes into play with the competition. There's going to be more people going into running those ads, right? And so those seasonal aspects are very important to be aware of. So if you're starting running Google Ads in a very dry month, and there's no weather events or anything like that around, you're going to get less traffic. You're going to get less, phone calls from that. And typically you're going to see a higher conversion rate because you're ultimately there's not as many people searching, right? And so that's typically one of the things we'll see. So that's the seasonal demand aspect of it. The third component is keyword relevancy and quality scores. So these are all aspects that are within the Google Ads campaign. And so what we're shooting for is anywhere from a 6 and above on a quality score. It's very difficult sometimes to get 9 and 10, but not impossible. And so basically what that means is in the Google Ads campaign, if you have a keyword that is roofing contractor in Austin, Texas, and that quality score is determined by your bid, it's determined by the ad copy, and also the landing page that if somebody clicks on it, where it's going to. And so Google does their own calculation and all those fancy things there. And if you have a low quality score, you're typically going to pay more for that click than a competitor that has a higher quality score. And that's just sort of how the bidding system works. So all things to be aware of. Again, if you get into your ads account and you have 1s, 2s, and 3s, there's definitely some room for improvement, maybe some landing page or some ad copy changes that need to happen there to get you the best cost per click. And so another aspect of increased cost per click is the geographic area. I kind of touched on this before, but the more competition, the more populated the area, the more expensive sometimes those cost per clicks are going to be. If you're in a rural area, there's not a lot of competition, your cost is going to be way lower, right? And so those are all things to keep in mind when you're looking at and evaluating your campaign. And you can't compare somebody that is in a different area to you and think that you're going to get the same costs as someone in a lower competition, lower population area, right? So that's the geographic side of things. As far as ad schedules, running ads during peak hours of the day is a more expensive sort of thing, right? So if you're running them overnight, it's usually going to cost less because people aren't searching as much, right? Or your competitors aren't running them overnight. So if you run them in peak times of the day, there's going to be an increased cost. I'm not saying don't run them, but you need to be aware of those factors and look at those factors when you're evaluating the cost that's associated with each one of those clicks. And then the final component, I got two more components here, the bidding strategies. So automated bidding strategies that focus on maximizing the cost per click or maximizing the conversions can result in higher cost per click sometimes, right? And so there's different bidding strategies that you can use within a Google Ads campaign, such as manual bidding strategies, automated bidding strategies, and typically there's a right way to start a campaign, which is usually you want to get as many clicks for the budget that you have, and then as you get conversions coming in, Google understands what type of traffic you're looking for, which keywords are converting, and then you can move to a more automated bidding strategy within the system because they have more data. If you don't have a lot of data in your Google Ads account, or if you're starting out, I would not recommend going on an automated bidding strategy because it can drive up those costs, and Google doesn't have a lot of data to work with in that. So the bidding strategies that you use and implement with your campaign have a dramatic impact on on the cost per click and whatnot. So, and then the final component here is ad copy and creative. So if you have an ad copy that is not performing well, you're going to have a lower quality score, like I talked about before. And so you want to make sure that you are making sure the ads are grouped in such a fashion that every keyword is not associated with the same type of ad. So if, for example, if I have an ad group for roofing repair, an ad group for roofing installation, an ad group for let's say metal roofs, right? I don't want to have the same ad copy for all three of those, right? I want to have different ad copies and test different ad copies for each one of those different ad groups. And so that will improve your quality score, improve your cost per click, and improve what's called CTR, which is your click-through rates. All right. These are all important components. And I know maybe some of this is if you're not running Google Ads or you're not familiar with Google Ads, it's probably a little bit more information than what you need, but these are important factors and ask these sorts of questions to people that are running your ads, or whether you're running them. You want to look at these components, right? And so how do you manage and reduce those cost per clicks? I've talked about a few of those things, but let me briefly touch on a few other ones. Some solutions are using long tail keywords, so keywords that are less competitive and longer, more words related to them. So if you were going after roofer, that you're going to pay more for that. If you're going to go after roofing company in St. Louis, you're going to pay, depending on how competitive that is, you're going to pay a little bit less because that's a longer keyword, and those are longer tail keywords. Or how can I hire a roofing company, or who is the best roofing company near me? Those are long tail keywords that typically will cost less. So you want to align your campaigns with seasonal trends, so high demands. You want to adjust your budget accordingly. You want to improve that quality score like we talked about before. You want to refine your geographic area and making sure that if you're comparing other campaigns, that you're comparing apples to apples and not apples to oranges, right? You want to monitor your bidding strategies, and if you can control those bidding strategies within the campaign, and there's different, I'm not going to go into specific all of those bidding strategies, but you just want to keep a close eye on the automated bidding strategies and making sure they're not whatever strategy you're using, if it's not generating phone calls, you've got to change that up. There's lots of different strategies, and we'll talk about those in future videos and blog posts. You also want to split test your ad copy and creatives, and making sure that improve what your CTR, which is your click-through rate. And if that click-through rate is low, you're typically going to pay a little bit more for that. So I know I talked about a lot of different things in this video here. Take a look at our blog post. It should give you a wealth of information as far as how you can adjust your roofing ads campaigns and manage the increased cost per click that everybody is dealing with in the industry. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us at restorationmarketing.com. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast. Sean's not here to just talk the talk. He's walked the walk. With a track record of helping over 70 damage restoration companies and engaging in over 500 conversations with industry owners, he's seen it all. From digital marketing triumphs to the most ingenious growth hacks, he's got the keys to the kingdom, and he's sharing them with you. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, for more, hit the website at restorationmarketing.com. See you next time on the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast.